Hey guys, how you doing? This is a small tutorial we're going to do now on environment layout drawings. Part of your pre-production, you have to create a layout drawing for me, and I'm just going to talk you through briefly what exactly I'm looking for or what the purpose of that is. Might not be something you've come across before. This would be pre-production and useful in a way similar to your concept art, whereas the concept art gets a general idea of what the finished product should look like. The layout drawing is more of a technical drawing that your design team will produce, pass over to the 3D modelers, and the 3D modelers will try and model it to that layout drawing. What the layout drawing basically is like a top-down bird's eye view of your entire level or your entire environment. So, for example, if I was doing a long canyon, it could be something like this, and then you would have an open area at the end coming out. You might have a wee side area. And then down here we could have a river or something at the end, and that's our basic top-down layout drawing. That's the most basic silly layout drawing you could ever have. I'm going to teach you how to make one that's a little bit more advanced than that, a little bit more detailed. So let's just get straight to it. I'm going to hide this text here. All I have is a plain Photoshop document, and I have added a little squared grid layer to it. Now this is one I will make available to you on canvas. All you do is drag it on top of your Photoshop file, and it just comes in as a layer on its own. What we're going to do, I'm going to teach you what a scale drawing is first of all. So if I take a new layer, let's go right down here, scale drawing. Any of you who may have done technology in school may know what a scale drawing is. Scale drawing is where we draw to scale. That's how do I describe this? Imagine your bedroom. Okay, if your bedroom is say 8 feet by 10 feet, what we would do if we were drawing a layout of it, we would take these squares and make each square represent 1 square foot. So if your bedroom is 8 foot by 10 foot, we just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 across. Is that? Nope, 10 across. And 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 8 by 10. So that is our bedroom right there. Each one of these is a square foot. Then we could maybe put in the thickness of the walls. Now, standard wall would be about a foot thick. So what we could do is draw the thickness of the wall along the outside. And there we have a wall thickness. We have a window. There's a window in your bedroom. And let's say that window is 5 foot wide. We will draw it where it should go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to mark that off, that is a window. We will just put a little horizontal line through that. So there's our window. And if we want to do our door, let's just say for argument it's 3 feet wide. In reality it wouldn't be quite that wide, but just to make it easy. And our door is down here on this wall. We will add our door here. And then what we can do, because that's a door, we can erase these lines. And what we can do is, if it's a swing door that just swings open, we just draw a little quarter circle here and a little rectangle for the door. And that is our scale drawing of a very simple bedroom. Now this is what we would call a 1-to-1 scale, where 1 square on this is equivalent to 1 square foot. So 1 square equals 1 foot. Depending on what you are doing your layout for, though, this might not be suitable. This is okay going 1 square for each square foot of your bedroom, because your bedroom is quite a small environment. However, if you were doing an entire valley or an entire level, we need to think of a way of doing this that we can fit our entire level on one sheet of paper. So what we would do is instead move to something like a 1 to 10 scale or a 1 to 100 scale. And what that would be is where every square, let's swap over to meters instead of feet. I was using feet there, but let's swap to meters. 1 square would equal 10 meters, or 1 square would equal 100 meters. If you're looking at maps, say you've got a road map of all of Ireland or whatever, that would probably be a scale of about 1 to 5,000, where one little grid square is equal to 5,000 meters. That's kind of the numbers we'll be working with there, because obviously for you to travel from, say, Belfast to Bangor, Belfast to Ballymena is a number of miles, and you have to get all those miles on a wee tiny piece of paper. So we work on this scale where 1 unit of our grid equals so many meters, or so many centimeters, or so many miles, whatever the scale may be. So what I want you guys to do, and I'll do a wee quick demonstration here for you, I want you to do a layout drawing of your level, and what you'll have to do is establish the scale. Now think real world terms. Remember, think of it in terms of the size of your bedroom. How big is your bedroom? How big is a car? How big is a house? And think of it that if a door is 2 meters tall, how does that relate to other widths and sizes of real world things? A car is about 2 meters wide and maybe about 4 meters long, for example. So when you are, say, designing a layout for a city street, you have to make sure that street is going to be wide enough that a couple of cars can pass by it, and you've got footpath for pedestrians to walk on, stuff like that. But also don't make it too wide that your roads are now half a mile wide, stuff like that. So you have to think realistically what scale you're is. So let's say we'll do a wee very simple example here. Let's do a couple of streets in a city, and we'll do a scale drawing. And what we'll do is we'll make each square here represent 2 meters. So first thing I'm going to do up at the top here, I'll write down some details. It's going to be a city level, and we're going to work on a scale of 1 square equals 2 meters. So we'll have, say, let me do a very, very quick wee thumbnail sketch. We'll do a long main street, and we'll have that main street open into a kind of a city square. And we'll have a wee side street come off it, maybe a wee alleyway, and that can also open into its own wee side square. And we'll close off the level at the top here. Remember, we're making game levels, we're making very small environments. We're going to have to think of ways to close these off that you can't see what's going on. So we've got a city square. This city square probably going to have other streets and things coming off it, and we'll need to block those off when it comes to actually modeling it. This is why the level layout process is really useful, because we can actually be thinking about these things while we do the layouts. So let's see, we've got this big main street. This could be maybe a motorway. And we might have, say, 2 lanes of traffic coming up this. So one going one way, one going the other. And I want maybe 2 meters for each, we'll say 3 meters for each lane. So if we have 2 lanes of traffic at 3 meters wide each, we need 6 meters width for the road, which is 3 of my squares. So if 1 square is equal to 2 meters, 6 meters is then equal to 3 squares. So if I just draw a long continuous line here, 3 squares down, this is going to be a little bit of our main road that we're going to have here. So this wee tiny bit here, we're zooming out way further. We're up at the top. Let me see, I'll just zoom out a bit here to see how much room we've got. Okay, so we're going to come up to about here, and then at some point something's going to happen here to close that off. We want our little alleyway, so this could be an alleyway between 2 buildings. We want this to be, say, about 2 meters wide, not quite wide enough for a car to fit down, just a very, very narrow. So that's just going to be 1 square on our grid. And we'll put it maybe about here, just actually that's long enough here. We'll put it here, and we'll make it, say, 10 meters long. So 5 squares long is equal to 10 meters. And we'll continue that on out. and that opens out into a little backyard area or a little mini courtyard. Could be the backs of 5 or 6 buildings, a couple of apartment blocks, something like that. Could be where they keep their rubbish bins. Could be where the air conditioning units or the power generators or whatever. Lots of wee pieces of just the usual stuff you'll find in city environments you would find in this wee spot. So we're going to make that, say, 8 meters by, we'll go 8 by 10. And what we'll do afterwards is we'll go on to a new layer. So I'm going to call this layer my main layout, just for the big elements, the actual streets, the main walls and things. And what I'll do is I'll create another layer, and I will call this props, just for instance. And what I can do is I will set my pen color to be something else. So I'll go for a dark green color, and I'm going to lay in some props in here as to what we could have. We could have like a fire escape. So let's say we have a 2 meter wide fire escape, and that's like a staircase. So we're going to just draw in a very basic wee staircase pattern here to show there's stairs there. We could have, say, if this was a couple of apartment blocks, we could have rows of, say, bins. And bins would say maybe 1 meter by 1 meter. So remember, if every square here is 2 by 2, that means that that's 2 by 2. 1 meter is just a quarter of that. So if I want to put my bins in here, I would just draw those in roughly about that size. There's a row of bins there, and there's a row of bins down here. And we might have some kind of power generator or electric box or something, which could be maybe 2 meters long by 1 meter wide, something like that. So this is our layout. We're laying out the main big block shapes of the level, and then some of the props inside it. If I switch back to my black color, we'll continue this on. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares. That's 16 meters. What else do we have to do? We have to think of the footpaths either side. So we've got our road here, which is 6 meters wide, and we could, if we want to, just mark in, say, some road markings down the middle of that, just very roughly, so we know that's a road. We also have to put in our footpath. So footpath, and we would make the footpath about, just to fit nicely in our scale, say it's a meter wide footpath each side. So we will draw in our footpath here, continue that down, and we'll continue on further with this one. And we'll do the same on the other side. Continue this on. And let me see on our overall grid here, what space do we have? We have a little bit more space. So I'll continue the road down to about here. And then what we'll do is we'll slowly start to build into this larger courtyard space at the bottom. So if this is our road and this is our footpath, what that means is that this is going to be our building. This kind of area here is going to be our building. This is going to be the walls of our level. It's going to be vertical. We can't walk past them. We can't do anything. So how we can mark this is just actually as I've done here. We can mark in building shapes as just big solid squares, and we can just very gently fill them in like so with lines, or we could actually just go on a layer underneath these lines and actually fill them in with a bit of colour. We could take a very faint, maybe yellow colour, and make my brush a bit bigger here, and just fill that in like so. And we could have a scale, or we could have a key to say that everything yellow is a building. And we just start filling these in. So if I go back to my black here, I could draw another building like so. And what we'll do is we don't need to fill this in as one big solid block. We could actually make these smaller blocks and make individual buildings, so the modeler will know This whole space here has to be one building, and then the one beside it is another building. So we could have our next little apartment block is much smaller and is about that size. Oh, but I need to make sure I do it in the right layer. I've done that in the wrong one there. Very easy to get confused here. Just draw that, make sure on your main layout, and then on your colors, just rename it the colors layer. And then on your colors layer, same thing, we just color this in so that we know that that's a solid building right there. So I'm going to leave all the colouring at the end because it's easy to get kind of confused with your layers. I'm just going to stick to the main layout, stick to black. I'm going to draw in some buildings here that could be making up my level. So I could have, say, one apartment block here, and we'll make it just a wee bit bigger than the one opposite so they're not too symmetrical. So we know that's going to be a solid building. And the good thing is, if I just throw these in, I know that my scale is 1 square equals 2 meters. So I can count this out and think, how big is that building? It's going to be 10 meters across by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 20 meters long. 20 meters long, yep, that sounds perfect for a big apartment building. Maybe not going to be skyscraper huge, but big enough for a small red brick building that you might see in a small city, something like that. That's perfect. We'll have a couple of smaller buildings here. So from the footpath, filling up this space to enclose off our little courtyard, we'll make another wee building here. So that could be a solid building. And we'll have a solid building here, maybe a wee small one. At this point, I'm not really worrying too much about what these buildings are going to be. I'm just worrying that there's going to be something there to enclose this space. This is our usable space. And let me see, so that's us filling in some of the walls here. We can continue doing that. I'm going to put in the rest of my layout here. I'm going to make this little central square. And what I want to do is I want my central square, if I zoom in here, maybe a little bit small, but if I zoom in, I want my road to be able to continue on around this square like so. Hope you can see that okay. And then our guy can sort of drive out, or theoretical cars can drive out these areas, so it kind of got a roundabout sort of area, and we'll have a space in the middle, maybe a square or a fountain or something like that. What that is, we can worry about later. So if I want that to have 2 lanes of traffic all the way around, I'm going to need enough space for that. So my 2 lanes of traffic are 3 squares wide. So I know that I want to leave, let me see my black color right there. I know that I want to leave 3 meters worth of road all the way around. And I might also want, my footpath to continue, so I'll maybe just let that continue on. So this is why you need to think these things out. You might need to erase as you go. So I just want to make sure I have enough room on the page here to get everything in as well. So I'm going to just erase some of this back a wee bit. Did I end up drawing this in the wrong layer? Yes, I did. I've been working on my props layer. Damn it. But that's okay. We can work with it. I'll just erase that wee bit. Go back to your main layout. Turn that on, and leave my footpath in there. We'll worry about the limits of it later. But I need my 3 meter of road. And I'll put a little square in there. So to a 10 meter wide little area inside the road, maybe a bit bigger, maybe go 12, maybe a wee bit bigger again. 10, 14 meters by whatever this is, looks about 30 long. That'll do lovely. So let's see, just erase out this line here, get my size right. So I'm just going to continue this on, make sure I leave my 3 meter road all the way around. And what I can do is just to make this more obvious, I can keep doing my little road markings down here, do my road markings here, stuff like that. You can see I'm not really being too accurate with them. When you're drawing yours, you can spend a little bit more time being accurate. And what else do we have? We wanted to have sort of a little roadways coming out at each side of this. I think we're frozen a little bit here. Let me see, there we go. Are we? Ah, there we go. Sorry, quality's a little bit low here. Just running Photoshop and the stream at the same time. So, just going to finish this out and have our footpath and our little 3 squares. Footpath or 3 squares either side. And we will have our next wee drop out down here, leave in our footpath, bring this all the way around. And let me see, have I done this right? I don't think I have. Hang on. Oh no, that was correct. So I'm not really worrying too much about my lines being perfectly straight, as long as they line up roughly with the grid squares. We'll really know what rough size they are. You can take more time, as I say, and you can put more detail into it. Like, I'm not going to draw the rest of the road markings here. But what I will do, now that I've got my basic layout, I can start filling in where the rest of these buildings are going to be. And it might be, they don't need to be perfectly square buildings. It might be actually that this is just all one big building here. And we will continue these on out. We can make that one building. And it might be, don't worry too much about the internal logic of these, as long as it makes some kind of sense. Don't worry about making it perfect. There could be another road up here somewhere leading into these buildings we don't need to worry about, given the access and stuff. All we want to do is make this a vaguely believable space so we can fill out these areas with other buildings. And just make sure your entire thing has something vaguely believable. I'll maybe do a big massive building on the corner here. Say it could be a bank or something, so it's a bit bigger, a bit more prestigious. Fill that out. And then once you've got that in, we could maybe color coordinate this a wee bit. So we'll go back to our color layer and I will use my polygon lasso tool this time, just to make this quicker to select. We'll select my road here and select a big bit of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paint bucket tool and I'm going to select a very light grey and just fill that in there on my color layer. Can I pass it down? There we go. And if I just fill that round, it doesn't have to be accurate. We're not trying to draw an artistic here. It's just for indication purposes. It's just for indication to show the kind of colors and the kind of things that we're looking at. So, apologies guys, my laptop. When I'm using the graphics tablet, Photoshop does not like my graphics tablet when I'm using the polygon tool. It keeps messing up my selections. Another wee thing is, you see that when we start to colour this, we're losing the grid. But what we can do is we can pull that grid up on top of everything else. And it's a PDF with transparency built in, so you'll see that we're still seeing our colours through it. If you want to, you can turn the opacity of that down a wee bit, make it a bit fainter, that's okay. But we'll go back to our colour layer here. What I could do, take my Marquee tool, take this space in the middle, and I'll fill it with a light green. Say this could be like a grass path, something like that. And just, as I say, keep filling these in. In fact, the Marquee tool might even be as handy as anything else for filling these in. Hold Shift just to expand that selection. Again, I'm not being incredibly accurate here with these. I'm going to let you guys worry about the accuracy whenever you're doing your own layout. I'm just want to show you a few wee tips as we do these. So hold you down there. And fill, it's frozen on me again. Let me see, take your time. Streaming is such a pain when you don't have material set up perfectly for it. Oh, there we go now. There we go. So just very quickly to finish this basically layout. Oh, it does not like this at all. If you are being quite careful and quite accurate, what can look really nice as well is that when you've got your colours in, you can actually remove your ink layer and just be left with the colours themselves, and these can look quite nice even when we take our squares off. That can be quite a nice layout. It's up to yourself stylistically what you want to be left with. For now, I'll just leave the whole thing there. You guys, it's okay to leave the whole thing there. You don't need to do this on computer like I'm doing, by the way. You can do this just on regular squared paper, or even just normal plain paper, as long as you use a ruler and, pardon me, measure out the different sizes of things that you want to be drawn out. So as long as you just leave the right width of a gap for your footpath, or measure out with a ruler the right size for your buildings, as long as you know what scale you're working to, you don't really need the squared paper, but the squared paper will make it a lot easier just to freehand it in. If you were to present me something like this, that would be good enough. As long as all the size and the scales match up and you finish it off and colour it, that will be grand. Make sure to put your name on it, tell me what it is we're seeing. Some of the other wee things we can do, we can add a bit more to it. So I can make another layer here. As you saw, we've got our props layer, which is going to be all our things like bins and stuff. I could go back to my green here, say we're on the street corner. I could, for my props, put in a little icon here for a lamppost and put them up every so often, just so the 3D modeler knows what assets to put in here. I could have bins on the street corner, things like that. And what I could do is have a little key down the side where I know that this equals bin, this equals lamppost, etc. Stuff like that. You can fill out a little key. The other thing we can do, now you guys for your 3D environments class, you don't have to worry about enemy placement or anything like that, but you could if you wanted to. Say this was a first person shooter, you could mark in where the enemies are, and you can have different icons for different types of enemies. So that could be our basic enemy, and then say this guy could be our boss. So this guy could be standing here flanked by two regular guys. We could go back to our props. Say this was like a military Call of Duty type game. We can have some road barricades in here, some barricades up the back. As I said earlier, we need to think of a way to block this all out. So we could have barricades here. And our boss then can be standing with a few of these flunkies. up here. The other things you could do is you could be putting in your objectives for the level. So you could say that maybe your character actually starts here. So we'll take maybe a little blue indicator. This could be your player start point. We'll put that on the key down the side here. And we just start to fill in all the different elements in the level. This is where you can see why it's so useful to have these kind of things. We could, if you wanted to, you could also add in the intended path of the level, where the player is supposed to go. They might need to go to this guy, grab his key card, and we could even put in a little key card indicator here. So a little circle K can be key card. As you might be able to tell, I'm doing this very, very off the cuff, so I'm running out of space. You guys are going to put a lot more planning and preparation into it. What else do I want to show? Yeah, another little cool thing we can do. So we've got this green space here. We've got our props. We've got our key for those. Say we'll just put in for our key those little barricades there as well. Say we've got this nice green area down here. What we could do is wall this off and fence it off. Go to my main layout again. We want to have some kind of fence around this. We'll just do a very, very thin wee wall all around it, something like that. Again, just going very, very roughly here. But what we could do is, if I just take, say, a brown colour, we could just with our paintbrush get a large brush and draw in, say, like a path all the way around this. Something like that. Maybe even go back to your blue, put in a little duck pond, something like that. And then a darker green, place in some trees. And there that goes from being just a plain green square that we know kind of a bit more about that space. It's going to be a park. We can see the pathway around it. I didn't really think this through. There should be other paths and stuff around this so that people aren't just getting mauled by traffic when they're leaving the park, but I'm just trying to think what other wee things could I show you. You could continue painting in the rest of the colour in this, so for example, or I'll make sure you do it in the right layer as well, because I've just actually drawn all that stuff on the main layout, which I shouldn't have done. Don't do what I do, but do what I say. Back in our colours layer, yeah, we can just keep colouring in. If I take my eyedropper tool, use my Marquee tool, fill in these buildings, and we can even just change the colour of them a wee bit each time, just so that our modelers will know that these are meant to be different buildings each time. And if I keep them all generally within the yellow hue, for example, but they're all just slightly different shades. And I'm just using the Marquee tool here, just because it's lucky that I'm using a square vertical aligned grid to do buildings. If you were doing a natural landscape, something more Skyrim, more fantasy, you wouldn't have as many sort of regular square shapes, but same principles would still decide. You just have to be a bit more careful with making your selections. I'm just lucky I can use the Marquee tool here. So there we go, and just to really tidy this off, I'll do some of these footpaths. I'll use a different shade of grey for those. Easy peasy. Again, take a bit more time when you're doing it. There we go. There is our basic wee level layout. Depending on what your theme is, you might want to do it a bit differently. If you're doing an interior, for example, you're going to be working on a much smaller scale. So as I say, each one of these squares is 2 meters, giving us 6 meters wide for the road and 2 meters for the footpath. you're going to be working much smaller scale, so it might be that each square is 50 centimeters or each square is 1 foot, and that way you can give the walls thicknesses of 1 foot. The important thing is establish your scale first of all. Establish that scale so that both you know and your modeler knows how big everything should be. Think logically. So if you have roads, you're probably going to need footpaths. Those footpaths are going to need modeled, they're going to need textured, so they need to be drawn in there. Those buildings, draw them individually. Don't just draw a big single mass of yellow or whatever colour you choose to decide. Think logically. If this is a street has numerous buildings on it. What size do you want those buildings to be? You can even, if you want, label these buildings. So I could go bank, shop, and then apartment buildings. You can be labeling these. The more information basically you can give, you're working on a chain, you're working on a pipeline, the more information you can give to the next guy in the pipeline, the better. And the more information you put in here, the more control you have over it. So if you're an artist and you want this level to really be yours, at this point you make all the decisions so that the modeler doesn't have to make the decisions for you. That is, I'm not going to finish colouring this here. I'm not going to make you just watch the same thing over and over again. But that is how we do our level layout drawings. I don't think there's anything else I want to add. If you can give me something like this, maybe just tidy it up a bit, make sure it's finished, and put it in your own style as well. That'll be perfect. That'll get you the grades. That's what I'm looking for. This is actually quite a fun thing to do. If any of you guys like your tabletop RPGs, if you like your Dungeons and Dragons or your Warhammer or anything like that, these can be really fun to do for your campaigns as well. Some of you might already be familiar with this kind of thing. They are actually quite good fun. You can get lost doing these, so it is worth spending some time. And another really important thing, when you are starting, note what I did at the very start. I'd done this wee tiny sketch layout of what I wanted. Now there's very little detail in here. I just had the main spaces, and I just drew in very quickly the direction of traffic, if this is roads and traffic and stuff that I wanted in there, just to give yourself that basic wee idea of what the overall layout is going to be. Now you might want to do 4 or 5 of these before you actually start even getting involved with the bigger picture here. Do 4 or 5 of these. Think, okay, what's the objective of my level? Is it to have to pick up a key here and take it here? Do I have to kill 3 bosses? Do I have to find 3 special items? Whatever it is, think about it and do these wee tiny small drawings here first of all. And then have that in your head, have a layout that you're happy with, and then start to do your final version. I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. I hope that's been helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can produce. And yeah, good luck guys.